and welcome back to the Bookish Rant Society. We're here today for our third episode, and we're stoked. And hello, Milo. If you see Milo, he's free entertainment for today.
Yes, my husband is not going to take him today, so he's going to be in and out,
He's going to be
guaranteed.
hanging out. I bet he would be a reader.
I don't know. I don't think he has the attention span for it. Kita, my other golden, on the other hand,
She would be a reader.
she would be a reader.
She would be. I feel like Kita would be one of those readers that, like, you look at and you're like, oh, I bet you read all the cute little rom-coms, and then she's reading pure filth.
Absolutely.
That's the vibes I get from Kita.
Yeah, she's just like her mother. All right.
Okay, so today we are getting into what we read for the month of February, and then we also have a pretty hot take on the smut writing process.
The smut to plot ratio.
I was gonna say that. I didn't know if that was the appropriate thing to say, but I feel
look
like
at
it. Yeah, the smut to plot.
Hi.
You can't even be mad at him because he's so he's so cute, but he has such a big head.
He's not even a year old yet, but
Yeah.
he's just gigantic.
He's huge.
But do you want to
Get into it.
get into it?
Get into it. All right.
About what we read.
So my March was a little bit. Actually, I thought I was only gonna
February.
February. I had 2 margaritas before we did this.
I encouraged it, so this should be a fun podcast.
It should be a freaking fantastic podcast. Unhinged. I actually thought my February read was going to be real short. The one downside to me taking my time with reading things is that I'm not reading as much as I was.
Yeah, I feel that.
Which is okay. I just am also wrestling with the idea of I really thought I was only going to have 2 or 3 books for the month of February, but don't worry, we saved the day. So I started the God series by Rena Kent.
Love.
So I read God of Malice and God of Pain. I'm still checking my way through God of Wrath. Yeah, I wanted to say God of Fury, but that's because I bought that one today. God of Wrath. And I don't have any issues with it, so to say, but it kind of got on the back burner when I started reading the Wolf Hotel series by K.A. Tucker. So my 2 cents for the God series, I have been enjoying it. I don't really have any complaints thus far with honestly any of them that I've read. Killian is still ranking on top for me right now.
That's fair. I had the same opinion when I was reading it.
Yeah. I do like Jeremy. I've just told her several times where I'm at in the book right now. He's not done anything for me that is not something I've already read.
Well, I've told you, he pops up so many times in the other books, especially God of Fury, because he's Nikolai's best friend.
Right.
So it's one of those things that.
And you love your side characters.
I do love a good side character. We'll get into that in my reads. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and I think, again, I really don't have any issues with anything. I honestly don't even think she's used the word.
No, I don't think she does the whole time.
Yeah.
Not that I can think of, because usually when I'm reading a book, if an author uses the word muling, I will text Hannah and say, you probably don't want to read this book.
Because I will. I docked a star.
I know you do.
In the Wolf Hotel series because she used the word. There's no reason for it.
Yeah.
There's no reason for it. Why are we doing... Don't get me on the soapbox.
I'm not.
Don't. Don't. I also, and again, I'm still too early into the series to have any different opinions, but I did like Cretan's book.
I did too. I liked it. It just wasn't my favorite.
Right, after you read all the others.
I've read all of them, and so I've ranked them pretty much God of Wrath. No, actually, it's God of Fury, God of Wrath, God of Ruin, then God of Pain.
Yeah.
Because I kind of like Landon's book better than Cretan's, and that's a hot take. But
I bought God of Fury today, so I'm trusting Jessica. She has not led me astray in anything that she's told me to read, so...
I will say pretty much all of your books that you read this month were my recommendations.
They were.
Yeah.
So, but Wolf Hotel was on my list that you made me when we first met. And so I blew through that one. Now that one, I have some hot takes on. Stopping at book 4. I don't know if anyone else has read this, but I'm stopping at book 4.
I told her I would have done that had I known.
I was content with where it ended. I didn't think it needed to be a 5th book. And I read some of the Goodreads reviews, and I just don't really see any interest in pursuing book 5, especially because the biggest consensus was consensus.
Mhm.
Yeah. I still don't feel like that sounds right, but it's fine. Was that it felt rushed. And so I didn't really have any desire to get into another book. Super easy reads if you're wanting something. I will also say it's something that if you're wanting predominantly smut over a storyline, that is going to be your book. Just simply for the fact that it was good.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I was in the mood for. Was a billionaire.
Something easy to read,
Yeah.
but like has somewhat of a story, but it's a lot of smut.
Yeah.
I mean,
This
it's
is
good.
where I kind of broke my reading slow, except for the you know what chapter. You know what scene. That one. That was like the Kindle jumped. It was like, oh, it'll take you 15 minutes to read the rest of this book. And then it was like, wait, bitch, now it's gonna take you 25. What are you doing?
You just have to reread some of those
You just have
sentences.
to. But I had a very dark February. That's all
Yeah.
it was just dark, which is fine because
Mhm.
I honestly feel like outside of Taming 7, I finished last year with YA, and then I immediately came into this year with YA with the
Mhm.
Caraval review.
Yeah,
So-
I kind of took a turn in February a little bit. I kind of jumped around for a second. I read 9 books. I honestly could have read more, but I did do a tandem read. So we'll get into that. But anything else you want to say about the Wolf Hotel before I start?
Stop using the M word. Stop using the M word. I think I'd mentioned to you, like, I think Abby had character growth, but only in like the sex realm.
Yeah, like
That was it.
her character didn't really grow. She was still kind of self-conscious and like all
Yeah.
that throughout the entire thing. But
It was like
she did stand up for herself a little bit more with her parents.
Right.
But we have to remember she was like 21. Like she was really young. So like think about how insecure you were when you were 21.
I was having a great time at 21. I was not insecure.
I was insecure as hell.
No,
So
I was like 110 pounds at the club every weekend. I was so far from it. No, when I was 21, I moved here. I was
okay,
having
this
a
man is
great
a
time.
billionaire and he has models on his arm, and she is a little farm girl from like the tiniest town in like Pennsylvania. She was insecure because she felt like she didn't belong.
She did it.
Okay. We're gonna move on. She'll keep talking about this. So my book, I started out the month with Pucking Wild. I liked this book, but it didn't need to be this long. There's no reason. Like I understood Pucking Around. There was like 3 men and 1 girl. They had a full story that everybody. Mm-hmm.
I thought it was 4 and Pucking Around.
4, including her. Jake, Caleb, and Amari.
Or there was one more. Okay, continue.
I read this, and they're in this book. So
Okay, continue.
yep, there was 3 and one girl.
Okay.
This one, just a normal couple. They get a little kinky, but other than that, like
Who are we to kink shame?
I'm never gonna kink shame. I'm fine with it. But there was just no reason for it to be this long.
Mm.
The main male character and the main female character, they communicated very, very well, but sometimes a little too well.
Communication. Oh.
Yeah, like it was one of those things like, did it really need to be said? Did it really need to be voiced? I liked it, but was it my favorite hockey romance I've ever read? No.
What is your favorite hockey romance? I want to side in here. I want to hear what your favorite hockey is. One book, not a series either.
Score.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
It's a good one. I'm gonna stick with pucking around.
I liked Pucking Around. Don't get me wrong. And I still, because I'm a wide shoes queen. I love a good wide shoes. And they pop up anytime they were in this book. I ate that shit up because they did pop up a lot. So that's, I think, why I kept reading, because they were great. But there's just something about like Allie and Dean's relationship. Like he was such a playboy. He was a playboy, but she was also such a strong female character.
It makes or breaks
It
a book.
does.
It makes and that's why I had such a problem like with I think the first 2 books in the Wolf Hotel series
Yeah.
is because it was so much like no, I'm
You
not
have
leaving,
to
I'm not
have a
leaving.
strong female character, and
At least in like a like compromise.
Milo.
At least in like a if there's a difficult story or if there's an abnormal story.
Yeah.
If you're just like everyday romance, you can have a not strong female character. But if you're dealing like a billionaire or hockey or
Yeah.
whatever, you have to have a strong female character.
It just makes it more fun.
I don't make the rules.
The banter and everything was more fun because she's more strong-willed and he is too, and it's just fun.
Yeah.
But I wanted a break from the smut because it was a lot of smut in Pucking Wild. So I read Funny Story. She begged me to read this book. And I said if she started the God series, I would read this. So I did. And I enjoyed it. I read it really quickly. There's not like anything that stood out to me that I'm like, oh yeah, I really, really hated that. Or I really, really loved that. It was just a good palate cleanser. And it was a good start to finish because I'm like, I'm so sick of reading all of these series. Like, there's nothing wrong with a standalone.
Emily Henry does a beautiful standalone.
Beautiful.
Start to finish. Good. You come in, you're immediately like, I'm enjoying this, and then you
hold
leave
your attention.
Very satisfied. She does Emily Henry. I love you.
Holds your attention and you get a full story. You grow to love the characters, but I was fine that it ended where it did.
Yeah.
There was nothing that I was like, I wish there was more.
When I read Funny Story 2, I read Funny Story when I went to the beach last year. And that Funny Story was the first book in a hot minute that I was almost, the only thing I was like, I don't want it to end.
Yeah.
Like, and when it did end, I was very kind of like, I wasn't necessarily left unsatisfied as much as it was just kind of like, oh, I'm actually really sad that ended. So.
Well, like, because you loved the characters because it was really easy, but the story itself was complete.
Yes.
And there was nothing that I felt like I was left wanting. It was just you wanted to be friends with characters.
Yeah.
That's all it was.
Yeah.
I will say I did like the main characters. There were no side characters in this one for me that I loved.
No, you actually loathed every side character in that.
Did not, and I'm a side character lover, and there was not a single one. But again, that was no smut. It was kind of like a palate cleanser. And I was like, well, I've started a lot of series that I need to get back into. So I got into Collided. This one is the Dirty Air series, book 2.
Is this the F1 that we were
This is
talking
the F1. I have no complaints. It was good. It was a fun little read. Now, the main character is very naive because she's young. And he's older. She's naive because she was literally like daddy's girl who sent her to an all-girls school.
Okay. That is like the circumstances are different. I almost hate to use the she's young as an excuse.
She's fresh. She's still in college. She went to an all-girls school. Then she went to a private college.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. That's where I think all-girls school and private college, you're just like, not even necessarily that you're young. You're just like.
Well, she has no life experience.
Right.
And so she's trying to gain life experience. So there goes character growth, which we love. And they were introduced in book 1. So like I knew the characters. And this one kind of went back in time. Which is not always my favorite, but I see why they did it. Because it was the start of their relationship. So it just did the first book was the season, like the F1 season. This went to the beginning of that same F1 season that book 1 was in. So I'm hoping book 3 and 4 are a different season. And I think they will be because they introduced the characters for book 3 in this one. So, but it was like at the end of the season. So we'll see. I don't know when I'll read it, but I'm going to at some point. It's on my bookshelf. So then I got into my tandem read.
Thank God.
I've been putting this off for so long.
She'll call me and be like, I don't know what to read next. And this series has been in the rotation. And I finally was just like, you should have to read it.
So these books, Scarlett St. Clair put a tandem reading guide on her Instagram. And I'm so glad I did the tandem read. Because if I would have just read this by itself, I don't know that I would have finished the series. Because you're going to miss so much story in this part. And this one is more like the relationship of just Persephone and Hades. And like you don't get like the gods as much. Because she was kept in like a glass greenhouse until she was 18. Then she went to college. So again, naive. She did not experience the world. And so I will say this one, she's super naive, but she does grow. So I read these two at the same time, loved it, finished them fairly quickly. It was great. Then I had to move on to these two. Now, these about the same like size books. It went back and forth. I fell in love with Hermes, side character, but he was comedic relief. He was necessary, and he was like each one of their like best friends. Like he was friends with both the characters, but like became friends with them separately. And then when they were a couple, great, fantastic, love him, whatever. The first books are like it's like a complete story. You could have just read the first books and not read anything else. But then you read these and it starts a bigger story, which I like the bigger story because I'm a sucker for Greek mythology. I love Greek mythology. So she brings in a lot of like different stories from Greek mythology, and brings them to life, but not necessarily with the same characters. It's weird. I don't know. It's fun. I like it. But the thing about doing a tandem read with these is you're going to reread the same scenes from different points of view.
That's such a hit or miss.
I liked it at first.
As I said, you have to do it the right way.
I liked it at first. Like in books 1 and the first books, it was done so well because you're getting like the background on the bargain and like all of these different things. You move on to books 2 and books 3. Now look at the size difference. Like, I don't know. I loved this book more than I liked this book. But I will say I was skimming a lot. And it's because I was reading the same scenes, because you get like when you're with Hades in this book, you're getting Persephone's point of view. And then when you're with Hades or with Persephone in this book, you're rereading the same scene that happened that you just read. Especially sex scenes. Oh my gosh. How many times can you have the same sex scene? And that's not even just like in this book alone. They're not doing anything different. There's no changing. They do the same thing every time. And then you're reading it again in here, and it's the same thing. So I liked it, and I wouldn't change that I did the tandem read. I had more fun with this because you get more of the gods storyline, whereas with this, you get Persephone and whatever she's seeing. So it's hit or miss on if you should do the tandem read. A lot of people said they read just the Persephone ones and they loved it. I feel like because they don't know what they're missing from this. If you read this too, you would like this one better. In my opinion, if you like the story. If you're just here for the smut, here you go. This is all you need. Unless you want double the same scene, then you tandem read it.
Serving of smut.
It's a lot. It's a lot. That's all they do. That's how they communicate. They've said it multiple times in this is through sex. So, whatever. I don't get it. But
float your boat.
I
love language is that physical touch.
Physical touch. Words of affirmation were the next two.
Okay.
But that kind of leads us into like plotline versus smut. Like there has to be a balance. Like,
yes. And also, like, okay, we talked about this last night, but if you're going to write a book, if you have an intention of writing a book, it cannot be a multiple book series if your main focus is smut. It can't
There's no need for it.
There's no need. That's how I felt with the Wolf Hotel series, is I was like, okay, if you were really pushing to try and do something like edgy or new or interesting, like smut wise, you should not have had a 4-book series. 5, technically almost 6.
Try some different positions, some different stuff.
Yeah, I like every time they went to the airport, she'd be like reaching for his belt buckle, and I'm like, so at this point, it's just chore. It just felt repetitive. So if your main idea is smut, it immediately should not be anything more than like 1, maybe 2 books.
It's just one of those things, like, I understand there is a need for smut, and but I read a lot, especially on my Kindle,
Mm,
where it's the main focus, and it's, like, 4 or 5 books, and I'm like
it's not
and,
needed.
like, even if it's a reverse harem, like I said earlier with the, pucking around, oh, it was that long because there were so many stories to tell, but, like, she still wrote it in 1 book,
Right.
and some of these, like, why choose books, they're like, "Oh, we're gonna do, like, 5 250-page books." Why?
Because this one was even an easy read. Like, Wolf
Yeah.
Hotel was an easy read, but at one point it was just reading to read it and finish the series. It wasn't necessarily,
It was almost like a filler series of, like,
yeah,
I needed to get to my goal.
kind of,
And
yeah.
yeah, and so I'm gonna read these really easy reads just so that I can have more
And
books.
especially because if you're like, if the story is so focused on smut, like how I felt describing it to Jess, how I felt reading Wolf Hotel was like waiting for the shoe to drop. And then there were so many times that I had to realize where I was at in the story, like, oh, the shoe has dropped.
That's what I enjoyed about the Hades Persephone, though, like, it was smut heavy, but there was story,
Yeah.
and so I was so excited to get past the smut because they were, again, doing the same damn thing every time. Nothing new, everything was the same, and so I was like, "Okay," especially when I already read it in 1 book. When I went to the tandem read to do the other book, I just would kinda skim, but then I would get story. And the story was so good. That's what kept me entertained and kept me reading. Or it could have been a DNF because it's just one of those things that, like, smut is great. I'm not going to shame smut. I'm going to continually read smut, but there is,
There's a time and a place.
yes.
There's a time and a place. And there's a way to do it. Because it's also, like, have you seen the memes that people do about Throne of Glass? And they're like, but is there any smut? And they like turn around, they like look appalled. And it's like, there's some books that don't
I
need
don't need it.
smut. So if I want to read, like, if I want to read something that doesn't have any smut, then that's what I'll essentially
Yeah.
like seek out. But I also, even in my, where I'm like, I just want smut, like, I don't want to just turn a page and be like,
Oh,
still
more sex. It's
more
just
sex,
happening.
because that's what this was. It was like every other chapter. was
Mine,
like
I swear
smut.
they were having sex in almost every chapter because,
They
like,
probably were.
they
It's
were
just
literally
skipping.
on Mount Olympus at a feast dancing, and then all of a sudden Hades teleports her back to his house and they have sex. Why? Why was that necessary?
I don't know, the teleporting is kind of cool to have sex. Like,
They weren't teleporting and having sex at the same time, but they teleported literally down the road and had sex, and then Hermes showed
this could
up.
have been an Uber drive.
But
This could have been an Uber ride. We did not have to.
like, y'all were literally just dancing, like, and it was like, why?
Yeah.
Like, y'all just had sex before y'all got there. Like, why was it necessary? It wasn't. Like,
And even like, okay, so like with the God series, like there's obviously a good amount of smut with that.
eh,
But it's done so well because I'm still so interested in the story.
yes, like, I I want you to keep me interested in the characters
Right.
and not their sex life.
Right.
So
Because anyone can do a split on it, if you will, but not everyone can have character development or communication, or the storyline is something that I'm wanting to learn, like, and essentially read more about, but it shouldn't be that. Like, that is especially why I think I'm gonna spoil, sorry, but like book 5 for Wolf Hotel, they were like, oh, he has a secret kid, and I was like, yeah, that's a storyline to me that I know is also gonna be mixed with a ton of this smut that I've zero interest in, like,
yeah.
reading about.
Well, and then there are books that are really smut heavy that, like, I know, for instance, Sophie Lark, a lot of her books are smut heavy, especially her Devil and Saints, No Devil, No Saint or
Oh, I
whatever.
was like, Kingmakers is not
No, that one's smut heavy,
Kingmakers is not super smut heavy.
but it's a storyline.
Yes.
So, like, it's easy to keep up. And like you said earlier with, like, Haunting Adeline, that's done really well, smut heavy, but there's story. We're enjoying
And
what's
also,
happening.
yeah, we talked about this last night too, but like, if you're gonna have a multiple book series with the like wanting to focus a lot on smut, like, you need one problem. You need one minor problem. Like, Haunting Adeline had a minor problem, that then progressed into
a bigger
and bigger
problem.
and bigger, and then it got resolved and we moved down. Like, Wolf Hotel specifically, there was a different problem for each book, yet she still very much tried to intertwine them. Like, if you want to do that, they either need to be fully standalone so you can read and be done, or you need to just have the same issue.
Well, like,
and build on it and go from there.
for the Hades Persephone, like, the first books, and I say first books because the Game of Fate and the Touch of Darkness is their book 1. But they had a minor problem or a minor issue that Persephone had. But it was resolved by the end of the book. And it kind of introduced a bigger problem that went into book 2. And then in book 2, there were little minor problems that were caused by the big problem that is now carrying over into books 3 and 4. So it's one of those things, like, you can have a big problem.
Yeah.
But, like, don't make all of the problems so minor that we don't care about them.
Yeah, like, I couldn't even remember the problem from book 2.
I couldn't tell you.
From book
I
2.
read that a long time ago. I couldn't tell you a single problem that they had.
The first one was that she worked for him.
Yeah.
Which is not really a problem.
Not really a problem. It's how they, like, got together in the first place.
And then couldn't remember anything for book 2.
I think the only problem I remember is, like, she had to leave because of her dad, and then that caused, like, a big problem.
But that
caused a
was
problem
like
because,
1.
like I said, I don't remember.
Again, and I just read this week. So, like, if your problems are that small, but the thing that sticks out in my head the biggest is, like, oh my God, every other chapter was, like, skimming and reading smut. You gotta...
If I'm skimming your book because there's too much of something and not enough of something else, there's a problem.
Big problem.
But that's not to say that I didn't enjoy the book.
Yeah, if I'm like, and that's why I did what I did reading that, because I, like, after the first book, I figured out, like, oh, this is really smut heavy.
Mm-hmm.
And that was something I was in the mood for, but it still doesn't take away from the fact that I would have enjoyed more of a story, so to say. Because when I'm looking for smut, I'm looking for smut, but I'm not only wanting to read smut.
There's, like, a good way to do smut with a story.
There's a good balance.
Because, like, not everyone can write a story.
No.
And you can tell when you're reading a book that, oh, they just know how to write smut. And then there's some people that have no idea how to write smut, but can write a good story. Yeah, we're not going to talk about that. I love her stories. Her smut is hit or miss.
Unless it's Court of Silver Flames. That was the only one that she had a little bit of a redeeming arc. In her world, that is
any of the smut that happened for Sarah J. Maas in Silver Flames or Throne of Glass series, because there is smut in the Throne of Glass series. Spoiler alert. Empire Storms had smut. I'm sorry. I'm not. There is.
We need to put on the calendar when we're going to have our Throne of Glass discussion.
No, we don't need to have a Throne of Glass discussion. Me and you will get heated because we have very specific opinions about that series. And we agree to disagree on a lot of them. Because I specifically, you're a Rowan person, I'm a Dorian person. So, like, I'll bleed whatever color you tell me to. Like,
Fireheart? Are you kidding me?
I could care less.
I mean, I'll bleed whatever color you tell me.
I could care less. Could care less. I am a non-Dorian person. Sorry. Even on my Kindle, you got me the stickers, hello Witchling, hello Princeling.
You did, yeah, because it's cute.
Yeah. They're my characters.
I know.
That's what I'm saying. It's like one of those, like, I don't know. If y'all want to hear us debate about that, it could get heated. It could get...
I'm drinking 3 margaritas for that one.
Okay. But there was something else you wanted to talk about in this podcast. Do you remember? I remember, but I'm curious if you do.
Yes.
Okay. Go for it.
Barnes & Noble, when I fucking catch you, it's on site. It's on fucking site. Okay? And honestly, without getting too much on a soapbox, Milo, don't interrupt me right now. I'm busy. Honestly, without getting on too much of a soapbox, the book community has got to, like, set some healthy boundaries. y'all are playing too much, and these people realize it, and they're profiting off of us because not everything has to be a special edition. Not everything has to be a limited print run. Not every single thing has to have limited sprayed edges. Like, they are literally playing off of us. But Barnes & Noble, just in case there's anyone else out there who didn't read the fine print, because I couldn't read the fine print to save my life, your membership charges a month early, just in case you were curious for one. I didn't realize
She was
that.
going to write a full-blown email.
I was gonna call customer service and demand a gift card.
She's actually like called and messaged before for different various reasons to Barnes & Noble. And
Yeah.
they respond, but they don't do anything about it.
Yeah, I sent them an email that I was really upset at the lack of like buy one, get one half off there for like 3.5 months straight. And I was like, I just want you to know. And listen, I'm not a Karen. Like, I'll post the email. I'm genuinely just trying to be funny about things, but I will send an email.
Yeah, and the other thing that has made us both a little bit
Pre-orders.
mad, pre-orders. Like,
Don't charge me for it until it's literally in the UPS truck.
now I will say we were really annoyed. They were like, oh, because like we pre-ordered, for instance, the Charlie Method. It came out Tuesday. It did not hit my mailbox until Friday.
Yeah. And it was the same thing with not Iron Flame.
Onyx Storm?
Onyx Storm too, both of them, honestly. But like,
I understand like it comes out that day, but like y'all have it in hand.
and you're charging me before.
Charging me before it gets released.
Right.
So you're charging me like a full week before you even like send it.
They charged me for the Charlie Method like the Tuesday before it came out.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But I still didn't get it until the Friday after it came out.
Because they don't actually ship it. They're like preparing for shipment. Why won't you ship it to where, like, because you know it takes 2 or 3 days to get to somebody.
Don't charge my debit card until it's literally in the truck.
We literally budget for these things.
No, literally.
And then when you charge us early, it's not the budget. Because we really don't know when they're going to, like, actually pull it. Because it pulls at different times.
Oh, they tried to pull, they literally pulled my Onyx Storm almost 2 weeks early.
Yeah, like, why? You know you're preparing to ship it.
Yeah.
But, like, it's not leaving your warehouse. So you could box it up without actually charging us.
Card.
And even if you want to charge it the day before you ship it.
Right.
That's totally fine. You're going to not ship it out till Tuesday? Don't charge till Monday.
Right. Don't charge me the week before and then me still have to wait a week.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm still going to order from Barnes & Noble. I'm still going to shop there religiously.
Yes. We set some hard guidelines for pre-orders.
We did for pre-orders.
Only special editions.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's only special editions and only, I think I decided only purchasing special editions for books that I've already read.
You were only doing, so I don't count sprayed edges as special edition.
Those are common now.
But like things like, for instance, like Barnes & Noble exclusives.
Y'all be sure to ask Jessica about the King of Sin series by Anna Wong.
You think you're going to be able to get a book, like, even if it's a Barnes & Noble exclusive, you see those for months and months and months, and you're like, oh, it's fine. I'll wait until I have a little bit more money. This was when I didn't, like, religiously buy books, because I was like, oh, I'm not going to read it right now. Like, let me wait a little bit. Then they don't have the Barnes & Noble exclusive anymore. Then your spines don't match. And frankly, that's super important to a bookshelf. I want it to be aesthetically pleasing. And I tried to get King of Greed, not once, not twice, not even 3 times, 4. They said they were in stock. They said I could order it. They literally canceled my order 4 times.
Didn't they charge you one time though?
They charged me every time.
That's right.
And then they gave me my money back when they canceled, but they charged my card like they were going to ship it every single time. So I sold the whole series.
Yeah, and I have the Barnes & Noble exclusive editions, and Jessica's trauma is now my gain because as soon as you can pre-order, I pre-order the Barnes & Noble exclusive edition. That's not negotiable for this series anymore, which thankfully she's almost done. She's on what, book 5, and there's 7 Deadly Sins.
Yeah, I pre-ordered Wildside for Elsie Silver because the spines make a picture. So I wanted to make sure I got the right spine. So it's just little things like that I'll do pre-orders for. But like, I don't know. Or books that I'm just super excited about that I feel like I can't wait. Like the Charlie Method, I was so excited about, and now,
Yeah, I pre-ordered Great Big Beautiful Lie.
yeah, it's just like certain
Yeah.
authors will for sure pre-order.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things like, because like for instance, Onyx Storm, I pre-ordered that, haven't even read Fourth Wing, but I was like, I don't want to go try to get a copy. Which now it's not like I tried to get the Target copy, God forbid. But the
Again, as the book community, stop playing into their hands. Stop giving them a reason to think that they can do stuff like that and we'll just come running. Like,
well, it's like the Charlie Method has 3 different colors.
you
It
don't
just
need
depends on
that.
where you go. Like I literally ordered the Barnes and Noble, and then I was like, "Well, pink's my favorite color, and Target has the pink edition."
Yeah, they're just like, it's kind of, and listen, I love Miss Taylor Allison Swift, but they're playing into that of like releasing a little bit, releasing this edition here, releasing that edition there, and like people are buying into it and they're playing into it. So of course they're going to keep doing it. It's more money in their pocket. But if we were just like, no, I'm only going to buy like this one edition, then.
And don't get me wrong, I own multiple copies of the same book.
Yes.
I do.
Yes.
I play into it too. But it's mostly books I've already read.
Right.
Um
It should not be a fight for my life to get a book that's
No.
coming out. Or it should not be that if I don't buy it as soon as it comes out, that I have to run the risk of it not matching the other 4+ books that I've bought. Like, do it one way and move on. And just leave it at that. It doesn't have to be like first run print or special edition print, or I shouldn't have to worry about like we saw today, like with the God of
Ruin. It had blue
no sprayed edges.
And it's only been out like for I think 3 months. But there was also copies with the sprayed edges.
Right.
But they're already printing ones without. So then in my head I'm like, okay, well I want the sprayed edges.
Right.
Not that I need them, but I want them.
Right.
And that's what I did with Filthy Rich Fae. I bought it not knowing when the other books were coming out, but I wanted the sprayed edges.
Right, because you never know. Because
You never know.
who's to say when they bring the next one in? Because I mean, they had Filthy Rich Fae at
Books a Million
today with the
but they
sprayed
don't
edges.
have it really at Barnes and Noble anymore, and that's where I bought it because actually no, I think I bought it at Books a Million when I saw it because they had both copies without and with.
Right.
So it's one of those things like
the sprayed edge thing is great nowadays.
It
I think
is.
it should just be like really standard. Like if you
honestly,
if you're gonna release a book with sprayed edges,
especially nothing with like a stencil, just a color,
sprayed edge.
Just do it for all of them. Stop trying to make it a limited run. I understand, like, for instance, the Nightingale Kristen Hanna 10th anniversary edition.
Oh my God, I got that book. It's so beautiful.
The sprayed edges.
Right.
Fancy. They're not just a color.
Like, right. Well, and honestly, whenever you're dealing with any kind of like 10th anniversary, like the Twilight.
Yep. I pre-ordered that.
Those are appropriate. That is an anniversary kind of thing. So it should be, a little bit more out there, more special. Sarah J. Maas, I'm looking at you for just the plain black.
We're not going to talk about it.
Anyways, again, that was that to me was a huge slap in the face of like, they'll buy whatever we put out.
It literally was. It was a money grab.
Yeah.
And that's fine if you want a money grab. But like,
I'm broke.
Yeah, I'm not going to buy your special edition black books. But like the Twilight books, the black ones that I got, the whole set, because I don't have the full series anymore because my mom messed them up. That's a whole other.
You got the whole set.
I got
the one.
The one that was just the Twilight like collector's edition.
Right, because that's the only one that I really cared about getting. But like something like that is totally appropriate.
It's so appropriate. It's 25 years.
Is it 25? I thought it was 10.
No.
Is it
10 was Kristen Hanna.
Oh, that's right. Duh.
Wait, now you have me questioning. What is it?
I'm looking it up.
20th? I feel like it's 20th.
I feel like it's 20th.
It's not 25. It's 20, I think.
Yes, it's the 20th anniversary.
20th anniversary. Whatever. Yeah. 25, 20. It was the 20th anniversary special edition. Like that's a big milestone.
Right.
So of course you should do something huge.
Nice. Yeah.
Beautiful. And it wasn't plain. And
Mm-mm.
it didn't look like the other books.
No.
So that's okay. But now, first run of books that you have never released before. You want a plain sprayed edge? Beautiful. Keep printing the sprayed edge.
Yeah.
I know it doesn't cost that much more. Like, it's stupid. And then don't change the spines.
Yeah. Those are just fines. Yeah.
Changing the spine is literally my biggest pet peeve because, like,
Most of the time, that's what's facing out.
yeah.
Yeah.
And if they don't all look the same,
Yeah.
I don't even think I have a series anymore that, like, on my shelf that doesn't have a matching spine.
Yeah, I guess not.
I'm
Your powerless and reckless kind of look weird, but I mean,
yeah.
they're still the same, but they do kind of look weird.
Well, yeah, because I think both of them are Barnes& and Noble exclusive. You know that? Mhm. Yeah, because I wanted the pink Powerless, which was Barnes& and Noble exclusive,
And then
but then the blue Reckless, but they
right.
did gold writing for Reckless versus white for Powerless.
Like
Why?
the Lightlark series is perfect.
The Lightlark series.
Seventh Circle, the Tate James one is perfect. Yeah,
Mhm.
Kingmakers looks good. Like, just keep it go. Just keep a running theme and stop money grabbing us for something like a sprayed edge.
Like, even the L. Kennedy, plain Jane books, but
Mhm.
she made sure her name and the titles right next to each
all
other.
the same.
All the same on the spines.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
And they're not even sprayed edges.
No, they're not sprayed edges.
And that's okay.
I'm fine with that.
That's fine.
It's a beautiful book. The spines are aesthetically pleasing,
Yep.
and I'm going to keep those books.
Yep.
Just like I have all the off-campus series, I also bought the Illumicrate series for the off-campus series.
Did you see the Great Big Beautiful Life Illumicrate that they're doing?
Mm.
Oh my god, it's so perfect. I'm trying to behave right now because I really don't need to pre-order it, but I really want to.
Illumicrate customer service,
Yeah.
top tier.
Yeah, she had a bad experience with FedEx.
FedEx, don't get me started. But Illumicrate, immediately they were like, if it gets lost, like, we'll contact them. I didn't have to do anything. They were going to contact them and they were going to figure it out. And if they lost it, they were going to send me the books for free because they were like, we put insurance on all of our packages, all the things. Do I picture Barnes & Noble doing that? No.
No.
But Illumicrate sure did, which, I mean, mind you, they're way more expensive.
Yeah.
And they're special editions. But, like, for them to be prepared that way,
Right.
I will for sure order from them again.
Yeah.
It was a beautiful experience, and the books are amazing.
They come like all good, like
Oh yeah, they're all perfect.
Hemingway books. If you haven't looked into it, I bought her the Once Upon a Broken Heart series at Christmas, and Hemingway does like sprayed edges, and they ship from overseas, and that was single-handedly. Was it annoying in the moment? For sure. I had to cut through like 900 things just to
Mhm.
get inside the box, to get inside that package, to get inside the box that the box was in with the box inside and the books all wrapped. It was insane. But to know that I paid that much money and my books were that well packaged, so that way I literally like did not have to, because the box that it ended up coming in did look like shit.
The box I got didn't look like shit. I mean,
Oh, this one
it
looked like
did.
shit.
It had multiple stickers on it, and it was kind of like
Yeah.
whatever. But each book was individually bubble wrapped.
Yeah.
And then, but if I know not everyone can do that, but like packaging like that makes me want to buy from people because you
Right.
get things from Amazon.
Oh my god, I got this book from fucking Amazon. I got the Bonds That Tie. I got the first one because on a soapbox of overpaying for books, like Books a Million pisses me off because
Yes.
they had the Bonds That Tie. They had book 2 and 3, which I have never seen in person, like in a bookstore. They were like $25 a piece, and then you go on Amazon, it's like $16. And I'm sorry if you hate Jeff Bezos, but I'm broke, so I don't care. I don't care.
Yeah.
But my fucking book came, and I remember like calling Jess because I looked and the spine looked perfect, and the whole front cover was like weirdly, like it was like raised and folded up. So it's like sitting smushed in between multiple books trying to like straighten out the cover.
Yeah, because like
Because they just threw it in my mailbox.
Yeah, and that could not be Amazon. It could be the USPS because I got home yesterday.
Get rid of
My
the USPS.
mailbox wasn't even closed. Like they just stuffed 2 Barnes and Noble boxes. I'm like, get out of the car and put it on my porch. Like it's not that hard. But they just stuffed it in there. I had to yank these books out of there because they were stuck. And I was like, if my books are messed up, I am going to be livid because it was the Charlie Method and God of Fury, and you don't mess with L. Kennedy at all, in my opinion. And Rena Kent, if I could have afforded her special editions of the God series, it was like $500. Oh my God, it was like $500, and I wanted them so bad, but I couldn't justify paying that much money. Like,
Oh my God, with their names on the top.
mm-hmm. Like, I'm so mad I didn't buy them. So, for those of you who care, these books,
Can we just put the link in the comments?
like,
Oh my gosh.
beautiful, beautiful books. Oh gosh.
Yeah. And things like that are appropriate.
But they were so expensive, and they no longer print them. So it was like I missed my shot. But I looked at my husband and I was like, "Can I?" And he was like, "Absolutely not."
What's the book that I feel like one other thing that we should throw on. I feel like we should warn them about the person you bought Under the Whispering Door from.
I know it's custom sprayed edges, like
Yeah,
.com or something.
Don't.
Their books are fine. They're pretty, whatever.
And I think people get them.
They do eventually.
Yeah.
But I have heard nothing. And I ordered this back in like what, August? And I've emailed, no response, no nothing. I never got a confirmation email. It charged my card.
Yeah.
And never got anything. I have a screenshot of the confirmation order.
Because I told you to.
Yes, because she made me go back and look. But I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah. And I mean, if you look on her Instagram, because that was the thing too, she was like radio silent on Instagram. Like people were commenting on her Instagrams being like, I've ordered from you, I've heard nothing. And she wasn't she wasn't posting anything, but now she's been posting back. And someone said that she'd like gone ghost before like this in the past. So the website is literally like customsprayededges.com, kind of like a rinky dinky looking website. I wouldn't order from there if I was to. This was honestly my fault because I just sent it to Jess and I was like, ooh, she's doing Under the. Yeah. We'll also link it in the comments because you probably can't see that, but we'll link it in the comments.
Customsprayededges.com. Don't go there. They have beautiful books. Don't get me wrong.
And I wish more than anything, because I've not yet seen anyone do a Under the Whispering Door by TJ Klune, which is like single-handedly one of my top books. She did a beautiful Under the Whispering Door, but
I'm hoping it'll eventually come.
maybe one day it'll show up. I have hope. Maybe it'll come around my birthday this year.
Yeah, I mean, everyone talks like it's gonna show up. So, but I felt bad. It was her birthday present, so I was like, "You're not getting much," because it was an expensive book.
It was expensive, yeah.
Because it was only one.
Yeah.
So, and it was like over $60 for just one. And I was fine doing it.
Yeah.
But they never sent it. And I think it makes me more mad. Like, I never got an email.
Right.
So,
yeah.
I honestly should probably check my email again, but
just to be sure.
Just to be sure.
I think that's our soapbox.
We said a lot and we ranted about a lot.
We did rant about a lot. I just needed to get that off my chest.
Yeah.
I just needed to put that out in the world. Just calling you was like not enough because I was so mad.
Yes.
But
yeah. Please let us know if there's anything y'all want us to read. More than likely, if it's anything off of TikTok or anything, it's probably on my bookshelf. So yeah. It's pretty rough over there. It's a very.
I need to post that.
Yeah, well now I've added more since you last took a picture. So but I've also gotten rid of a big chunk.
Yeah.
So I'm focusing mostly on physical books. I'm hoping to read some Kindle books, but like I'm still reading that one from January.
Oh yeah, okay, I'm not claiming it a DNF. Which one is it? Where's my phone? It's stuck to my leg. Okay. I'm not gonna deem it as a DNF. I think I just got a tiny bit burnt out with the Knights of Steel and Shadow. is the second book in that series. The first one, I had a really great time, but I don't know if I'm not DNFing it totally. I'm not.
Oh, I'm not DNFing my Kindle one
Right.
either. It's just one of those things like
When I get to it.
yeah, it's
So.
there. I know it's there. For me, there's not a whole lot of story
Yeah.
that I need. Like, I couldn't like just look at what they were talking about and like gather. So
Yeah.
I hopefully will get some more Kindle books, but I am enjoying reading my physical books. Try to clear off my shelf a little bit because it's getting a little rough over there.
Yeah.
And that's just the to be read shelf. So I'm trying to become a library. That's my goal.
Yeah, we had this discussion.
Want to have 1,000 books. So I'm getting closer. I need to do a book count and let y'all know how many books I actually own.
Yeah.
Let me know if you care.
Let me know if you even care.
Yeah, like I don't want to talk about stuff y'all don't care about. So let us know what you want us to talk about.
Oh, yeah.
What is any burning questions y'all might have?
That's a good one.
And then any book recommendations y'all have for us that you would like us to read, see our opinions on.
Yeah. Be some hot takes, but
yeah, you might not like our opinions.
Honestly,
but
yeah. Oh well.
We'll give them.
We'll give them for free. $3.99. Okay. You say bye, Milo?
Well, on that note, we're gonna give the dogs.
We'll see you next time.